Thank you very much for joining today to have an informal but very important conversation on a topic that now is at the forefront of the climate agenda. If we want to meet climate goals, we need to fill the skills gap. We need to create job opportunities, to move forward under a just transition approach. A lot of things. I'm talking too much. I would like to apologize because, as you know, sometimes COP brings a very fluid agenda, and unfortunately, my boss won't be here. I hope that I can substitute him in a fruitful and efficient way. We want to extract from you a lot of ideas, your perspective, your challenges. We know that we have to move forward to meet climate goals. We know that we have to accelerate everything. We know that it will bring opportunities, net job creation, but we know that there will be differences across regions, across sectors, different profiles, different challenges. But I don't want to speak more because I want to listen to you. I want to listen youth. I want to listen senior but youth people that are here. And I will start by CB. CB, hello, thank you for coming. I would like to have brief remarks on your perspective. What do you need to take advantage of these green jobs opportunities? What are your views?
Thank you so much. And I love that it's a round table as opposed to being a panel or anything because it's so much more inclusive. So thank you for the format. Very quickly, what I do, because that might explain where I'm coming from. So I work with the Climate Champions team. So some of you might have met Her Excellency Razan Al Mubarak, who's the high-level climate champion for COP28. And the champions get their mandate from the Marrakesh Partnership, which is all about what is the role of non-state actors in achieving the Paris Agreement. And non-state actors includes everybody apart from the parties. So it's youth, it's civil society, it's businesses, cities, states, and regions. So 3 years ago, we set up a delivery team for the Climate Champions, and I was invited to really come and think that how do we really integrate youth into this? And just from my lived example, it was that, you know, as youth who want to be involved in the climate space, who want to be involved in the sustainability space, we're not really sure how do we suddenly shift careers, say, from a consulting in a risk audit firm to kind of working towards climate. And that's kind of the framing, and we touched base with a lot of you to understand what they wanted, my own lived experience, and it was that find what you truly love and connect it to how you can bring that into climate solutions. So if you really love storytelling, there's a need for storytelling to really get more people on board or kind of communicate the solutions or communicate the challenges. Or if you've done engineering and you love software engineering, there's a need for that into the sector. So we started, and the champions also have a very technical role as advancing systems transformation. So it was a space for us to really bring experienced youth, youth in working on green hydrogen, but really helping them understand how that can move to a solution space, how can that move to a systems transformation space. So yeah, I think what I want to give one example is that bring youth with the expertise that they have, but give them spaces or help them access spaces where it can be tuned more towards climate solutions. And that's kind of also where we all come in, that there's, of course, a big need for skills and capacity building, but how do you do that along the way so that it's not too long before they actually get integrated? And so it's not a slow process, so you learn on the job. There are, of course, challenges, and I think we can spend a lot of time on that, but the idea is that how do you bring them into the solutions mode with where they are?
Thank you for this initial remark. I think we will have time to open the conversation later. Thank you. We now go with a young leader, but senior professional from UNICEF, Paloma Escudero.
Thank you so much.
Your perspectives on the topic, some of the enablers under your point of view. What do you think?
No, I think that I'm very impressed with the average age of this session. Really, is one of the youngest sessions I have attended. So perhaps I will start with some data, because before COP we did eco-optimism opinion poll with more than 10,000 young people between 13 and 17 in 35 countries. And I was so impressed because it didn't matter if the young people answering the poll were living in Uzbekistan, in Uganda, in Peru, or in Germany. There was such a common answer from all of them. So the question was, what would you like to have in your life now to be coping better and to be moving from eco-anxiety to eco-optimism? And then the answers were very clear, 3 things. The first one, we want to work in the green economy. We want to get the green skills because we know that that's what the new job market is going to be. And I felt like it was like in my time, because I'm a mature youth, we knew we had to jump into the digital market, that it was impossible for us unless we became not digital natives, but strong digital immigrants. We were not going to get any jobs. In the case now of all of you, you know that if you want to jump into the green economy, you need to start moving into what we call the green skills, and you need to look for places where you can get them. The second one was very clear, was we need climate education in our schools. More than 70% of them have never studied anything about climate change in their schools. So they felt very ill-equipped. They felt that all the information they have about climate was on TikTok, on social media. So we said, listen, we want now that most of them were in secondary school or high school, we need to be taught about what is the reality around us. And the third one was we want to take action. We want to make sure that we are doing something about it. And we want to take action in our neighborhood, in our school, in our family, something that we can really, really help the people around us that are suffering the worst impact. So I think that green skills education combined with action is something that hopefully will help prepare, but also will allow, and sorry, I feel very, me telling you is a little bit not the right approach here, but I can feel that there is a consensus that we need to invest in the preparation, in the opportunities of the coming generations. And no doubt, we have to invest in entrepreneurs, in innovation, once people decide that that's what they want to do with their lives.
Thank you, Paloma. Briefly, we have now an innovator, an entrepreneur from Africa, no? Very solid experience in the region. Martin, your remarks, your thoughts on the topic?
Right. Thank you. And I think just to go over what we do at Soless Energy as well. So I'm a founder of Soless Energy. It's a renewable energy company that is aimed at increasing access to electricity for households in rural and off-grid areas in Malawi. The way that we do this is we identify households that are off the grid. We enable them to access solar, but there's an affordability gap in place. So in order to fix the issue of affordability, we enable them to pay flexibly through pay-as-you-go technology, and thus leveraging existing technologies in order for us to increase energy access. I would say that capacity building plays a key role in overall, enabling the participation of young people in the clean energy workforce. In my personal experience, as we tried to grow our operations across Malawi, there was a constant challenge that we faced in identifying not only young people, but people in general that could come in, work at our company as technicians, sales agents, and so on. And more so, young women that could come in and do this work. And the responsibility is not only on us as a startup to impart these skills, but looking at the broader ecosystem of players that are in this space and having a think about how they could potentially work together to accelerate, the training of, young people. Most cases, everyone that has post-secondary education can have a hands-on skill in the energy transition. If they have the basics tabled down, then there's a role that they can play. But very often, these opportunities are not readily accessible. Major companies in the private sector, like Iberdrola and other companies, have the resources in order to make this happen. But on the other end, there are organizations that want to reach more young people to provide them with the training, but they say that they don't have the resources. So I think having that relationship is key.
Thank you very much. I think we are starting well. We are gathering quite a bit interesting set of ideas. Now we go to a very important organization, International Labour Organization. Of course, you are a key actor on the conversation. Rui, thank you very much for coming. We think it's interesting to have your perspectives and also your views on the opportunities on job creation that this could arise from this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to join my co-speakers in thanking not only for the format, but also for the topic. And I hope, like my previous speaker, that I would qualify as being a young, with many years of experience, at least, to be here. And it's great to see so many young people. So from the ILO point of view, you will not be surprised that I'm saying it's all about jobs. It's all about having access to a good job. So it's not just any job, but it's a good job, and we define it as a decent job. And here the climate change, the just transition can offer many jobs, but it's only provided there are certain things in place. And I want to share with you in particular 5 things that we have seen systematically coming across as absolutely critical issues to make this happen. I think first and foremost, it's crucial to understand what are the future skills needs. So you cannot really cater for opportunities if you're not, and I think our experience with an actual business, it's clear, if we don't have the skills. And that brings me to the second point, that if we do not have a comprehensive system that is competence-based for curricula, be it at the schools level, be it at the university or the technical vocational training institutions, it will not work. And to have that type of a system in place, you really need to bring on board, especially those that need the skills, entrepreneurs, private sector, businesses, the governments, and obviously all those that are supposed to benefit from that. The third thing that you really need to have in place is also inclusive access, because let us not imagine for a second that just by saying youth, we are talking about a homogeneous group. So we have a lot of parts of youth that actually have no access. And I think that was your point about gender as well, and women. So it's about many disadvantaged, including, unfortunately, girls and women as well. How do they get access? So they also have opportunities for good jobs. And fourth, it's also about really being agile. So a labor market needs to constantly respond to what are the issues and opportunities coming up. And for that, of course, a government will need to really think through, and I want to emphasize government because action is needed, but it's needed especially at country level. So a government needs to understand and prioritize what are the sectors where the jobs can and must be created, and then what skills for that. And that, of course, will require many more policies. My final point is that all of this can only come about, and I will use a jargon, if the discussion is about youth, which it is now. There is no discussion about youth without youth. So the point is that you have to involve the stakeholders that are impacted by the discussion. And I will just want to say again, thank you for inviting the ILO, and I look forward to hearing the continued deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the last point is very important. That's the reason why we are here all gathered. So, Amanda, now I go with you. You are a young leader. You have a very solid experience too from Brazil. Tell us your perspective, what you need, which are the enablers that you need.
First, just want to introduce myself and say too, I'm very happy to be here. It's very precious to have moments like these when we can sit together with very important people. So my name is Amanda, I'm from Brazil. I'm from Brasilândia. Brasilândia is one of the biggest favelas in Brazil. I work with climate crisis and the climate agenda and with the environmental racism. Have you ever listened about this term? Raise your hand if yes. Environmental racism. Okay, just to take a look. I created an NGO called Perifa Sustentável, and we want to fight the environmental racism in favelas, local communities, and slums. And I separate 3 main points to bring to our conversation, bring to this table today. The first one, as Paloma said, we need to empower young people with environmental education. It's very important to have environmental education in the early years. I just learned about the climate crisis when I was in my 20s. And now I'm here at the United Nations. I developed a youth NGO. Try to imagine if in our early years we have access to the climate agenda, to environmental racism, we can transform the world. The second point, we need fundraising youth projects. We need to fundraise youth organizations. It's very beautiful to sit here and talk with you, but we need to come back to our communities and make the change in our local communities. The United Nations has a very important sentence that is, we need to think globally and act locally. But we need the tools to act locally. And we cannot make the change if we don't have the money, if we don't have the fundraising, right? And the third point, we need to empower the youth, having the youth in the decision-making space. I love to be here. I am a communicator. If you want to follow me on social media, it's Amanda Costa.
Okay, you communicate very well.
Yeah, but it's also important to don't just be in the dialogue space, but also be with the CEOs, with the coordinators, with the managers. So my last point, we need to have mentoring programs. And we need to understand with these mentoring programs, it's a both sides impact. The youth will teach the CEO, and the CEO will teach this young person. We need to understand that we can work together. And I hope this circle, this beautiful circle, will not be a youth washing, because I'm tired of youth washing. So I hope to learn and see and understand what will be our next steps, okay?
Of course. And we will make a note on this. So we move to our host. Thank you very much, Alejandro, Manager of Capacity Building, UNFCCC. Your thoughts on this?
Muchas gracias, Miguel. I will continue in English, don't worry. Just the courtesies. No, thank you very much for the opportunity, and it's great to be in this circle with known faces, friends and colleagues, and other new faces. Looking forward to partner with you. So a lot of has been said already, so I would just like to add a couple of things. One is that, and that's a mantra we have in our capacity building subdivision when it comes to youth. Youth are not only recipients of capacity building, they are providers of capacity building. And I think that's an important principle also in this conversation, because looking at what Martin is doing and others are doing, what you're doing in Brazil, so you can help others understand how to become an entrepreneur, how to build a business, combined with additional support. You cannot do it on your own. And I think that's where the partnerships with, for example, the private sector, and big congratulations to Bedrola for what you're doing, it's fundamental. So to provide that connection that is not about, and I think what I've been seeing, for example, in the regional climate weeks, we're doing a lot of events on youth and climate weeks, is that young people are not interested in sitting down in a classroom and being trained only. They want to be part of the design of the training and customize it to their real needs. So that's shifting. In my time, I mean, I'm still young, but not so young. It was very typical. You go to a training, you're training some skills, and then you're expected to apply them. I think we're now in a different time, also because of technology. And I think that's when young people, you have a greater grasp of technology, let's be honest, and you know how to use it. So I think that's an important element. Another point I want to raise goes back to the issue of youth engagement beyond just being at COP. and how to facilitate that at the local level. And here I want to mention, for example, what we're doing in the Climate Change Secretariat to the Youth for Capacity program, which is an initiative that aims at building capacities for young people, but not through the traditional way. It's by creating networks, by community building, by taking it down to the local level. And in that sense, policy, youth engagement or participation, meaningful, and here I emphasize the word meaningful, because it's not only participating in events, it has to have a meaningful purpose. So, and I think this is important, because if we're talking about creating a new labor market, youth should be involved in the creation of that new labor market, in the policies that facilitate that new labor market, in the development of curricula to facilitate that. And I go back to the point you raised of education is fundamental at the earliest level. And yeah, the thing is combined too. I really like what you said about align that with the passion of the young people. Because we heard on all these events at the regional level, green career, there's still a perception that a green career is only about working in sustainable energy or renewable energy or planting trees. I'm oversimplifying. No, you can be green in whatever you do. If you're a banker or in a consultant. So if you have a good understanding of how the climate crisis is part of that, you can have your green career. So you don't get frustrated. I'm not an engineer. I don't know about energy, so I won't have a green career. No, green career is all-encompassing. So maybe I'll stop here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. Now we move to Philippine, a young leader, project officer in Ambition Co, a very interesting alliance. Philippine, thank you. Your perspectives, you know a lot about the topic.
Hello. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. It's such a pleasure to be in this diverse and global space and roundtable. So first of all, I would say that I feel already totally inspired by what you just all say, and it was really interesting. And I think that if I can just focus a bit more on opportunity and on this change of the labor market, well, I'm thinking that we can just be talking about capacity, because capacity are extremely important, they are crucial, they are necessary, but we also need these opportunities, and to do so, we need to be trusted. We need to be seen not only as young people, because yes, we are, but we will not be young all of life. And unfortunately, maybe or not, I think it's good to be more mature, but we need to be seen as professional. I have the chance to be working on climate action directly, and I don't want to be seen just as a young person. Because I'm not just that. I'm also a professional on climate agenda and climate summits. He's a professional on...
It's actually about jobs. Skills are a means to an end. Yeah. So when we're skilling young people, we have to be skilling them with a pathway to a job. I can tell you, because we run programs in over 80 countries, you design a very different program if you're trying to skill at scale, so just get a lot of young people skilled, or to actually skill them and make sure they get a job at the end. So I just want to encourage everybody here to the key question we're asking about how to build skills for a successful career, to push ourselves to make sure our skilling programs are actually resulting in jobs. To do that, you have to be demand-led. It's very local. So Iberdrola supports an amazing program with UNICEF Brazil called Unmio. They've placed over 100,000 young people in jobs. If you look to the Amazon forest, for instance, in Brazil, the jobs are very correlated to the forest. Therefore, there's very specific skills that young people need in order to be able to be placed in jobs in northern Brazil. Very different than the program we're running with Iberdrola in Spain, where we're training young Roma people to make sure that we're actually making the ultimate KPI jobs and then reverse engineering the skilling to come to that outcome. The second is the partner. That's where the jobs are. A lot of skilling happens through the public sector, but we have to partner across that. And that's why we need organizations like Iberdrola at the table to ensure that we're placing young people in jobs.
Thank you very much. Multi-stakeholder alliances always at the center of the process. Thank you. Now, last but not least, in this initial conversation, we have a lot of interventions that will be coming ahead. Mohamed, Jungo, Green Jobs Youth Path, UNICEF Youth Delegate, a lot of things. Tell us your perspective, your thoughts.
It's very hard to speak at the end of amazing speakers. And first of all, my name is Mohamed Agiz, and I come from Egypt. And I work for an organization, it's named Youth in Green Egypt, and I have a small firm working on consultation of innovation management. And I represent Yungo, the official constituency of youth and children for the UNFCCC, and the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, which is a collective effort between GenU, ILO, and UNIB. And to be honest, it's very hard to have one solid comment right now or intervention because everybody said what I want to say. starting from here, bringing the stakeholders together, private sector, public sector, academia, of course, it's important. Focusing on youth as component, focusing on bringing that kind of passion, as Shiva said, focusing also on understanding the youth as not just recipient, but those who are building the capacities and focusing on work. And understanding also the capabilities of youth when it comes to youth as professionals, not just recipients, and we need to skill them or upskilling them and to prepare them, because youth are bringing the magic. And here we have Martin, for example, as innovator, as an entrepreneur. So it's holistically collective understanding of everyone here is saying that the youth needs enhancement, and at the same time, they are providing the solution. So I had the pleasure of working closely with the Green Jobs for Youth Pact team, and it's three objectives. One is youth employment and green entrepreneurship. This is a very important component. How to address this, how to direct the youth toward that. We need a lot of skills. We need a lot of work when it comes to enabling the entrepreneurs, supporting them with funding. And I'm talking here about investment, not just sorts of funding to attend the conference and to be able to find this. This is very important. Inclusion of the private sector here is critical. That means because the private sector is directing to create this kind of a change and this enhancement for the economy. 60% of every economy is based on the SMEs. We need to ensure this advancement is happening, and the workers are having these skills for the transformation and to be prepared for the just transition. Second, the environmental education. Environmental education is important when it comes to understanding the challenges. We need to create this kind of building a new perception and changing the perception of what education meant. What is the traditional things? What is the traditional stuff? So it's important to all the stakeholders together ensure that the environmental education is on the table in the formal education. And of course, because all the collective actions when it comes to the informal education, like what we are doing right now, it's not enough. This is not accessible to or inclusive to all the people who are in Africa and the vulnerable communities, and we need that. Lastly, the empowerment of youth engagement. And I say three different things in this. Youth needs innovative solutions. We need to create solutions and we need to receive resources. We need this kind of interaction to bring partnerships, and these partnerships empower the youth toward actual implementation, not just talking or developing certain things. And this needs, of course, technological innovation and advancements. This is needed from the public and the private sector, and of course, the role of the academia here is important. And in the middle of this, the community, the citizens, who are part of this transformation, and they need it. And last thing, it's not going to happen without policies. And these policies should be forced in a national level And this is why we need to advocate all the time in encouraging and urge all the parties to ensure there is a policies that's sufficient to ensure we go to this transition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a lot of ideas. You were at the
A
end
lot.
of the initial remarks.
I bring in all the ideas.
So, okay. But it hasn't finished. So we are all gathered here, a lot of young leaders, senior youngs. I want you to give your ideas, your remarks. You can raise your hand, present yourself briefly, and have any initial idea, remark. You, Lewis, were telling me that you wanted to say something, so.
Thanks, Miguel. Hello, everyone. My name's Lewis. I'm from an organization called the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is a very long title to introduce yourself to. And we are a CEO-led organization of over 230 of the world's leading multinationals. And I wanted just to offer an idea of the role of the private sector. I think it was the gentleman over there that mentioned it. I keep hearing time and time again at this COP that business doesn't have the capacity required to enable the net zero transition as fast as we need to go in line with the science. It's something that keeps coming up in most panels and most roundtables that I've been attending. And it seems quite apparent that youth is the talent pool that is going to provide that capacity to really fill that problem. I think in order to get there, we need to ensure that we can upskill youth to fill the future leadership roles within the private sector to drive that transition further. And this is regardless of whichever sector value chain you operate in. So for Iberdrola, it's the energy system, but this could be in food and agriculture, this could be in technology, this needs to be an economic-wide systems transformation. So we, last year, came up with something called the Global Sustainability Skills for Climate Action Initiative, and it is just an idea. It's not something we've launched, but I wanted to see what this room thought about it. And this was, we already have some great private sector leaders who will have their own internal capacity building and upskilling initiatives. There are also not-for-profit platforms like the SME Climate Hub that the We Mean Business Coalition runs. WBBSD has its own version called the Climate Drive, which is specifically targeted at multinationals, which has information, which has best practice, and which has platforms available to help upskill professionals. And I feel that there's a real opportunity for this knowledge transfer from this best practice that is already working within the private sector into leadership in some of the leading universities and business schools that are the kind of conveyor belt for the future CEOs and future leaders within the economy. But two, also other forms of tertiary education like technical colleges and workers that we need within the value chain, whether it be installing solar panels or developing wind turbines. And I think that this level of initiative on a global level that can enable this economic systems transformation to get youth upskilled into the workforce and driving the net zero transition is absolutely critical. So if anybody thinks that that's a good idea, find me.
Plenty of ideas, I see. World Business Council is a leading organization we know very well. Thank you very much, Luis. More volunteers. Okay, Cristina will help me.
Hi, everyone. I work in the private sector as well, but I am ex-Deloitte. I'm currently at UNICEF. I'm here with the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment because a couple of years ago we wrote a report and created a toolkit defining the technical skills, knowledge and behaviours you might expect to need in different traditional job functions. So we've got a blueprint of different organisations. Happy to share the link. And we've got a panel with energy sector company leaders tomorrow in the IOE pavilion to hear their perspectives on what is needed, if anyone's interested in that. But just to echo that, I think the private sector is looking at this from a different lens, and I think the youth inclusion angle that's been talked about today, I would very much welcome speaking more about.
Thank you very much. So I think...
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's such a pleasure to be surrounded with such smart people, with such great ideas. And my name is Lucia Rodriguez. I'm from Costa Rica. I work in BirdLife International, based in Cambridge, which is the biggest partnership for nature in the world. We have around 119 partners. So a lot of youth, a lot of people coming from very different contexts, different sides and visions. And I agree with everything being said. It's definitely about enabling the conditions, understanding the capacity development is not a vertical structure, it's an horizontal structure. Jobs are extremely important. But I just want to bring one thing to this, is that things move very quickly. I have a younger sister, 10 years younger than me, and as a good Latina structure, I was part of her raising and being there. So I know how hard it is sometimes to give her the time and the space to listen and to see where she comes from. So we have to really consider how times move very quickly, and also the time where we're living. Being young today is hard. There's a lot of challenges that we are trying to solve and to try to cope and navigate. Climate crisis, economical crisis. We're talking about jobs, but getting a job is hard. It's not only hard, it's cost of living is increasing significantly. We are struggling with a lot of fights that many of the generations before us didn't. And I know everyone had their struggles, but it's really hard, and there's a lot of hopelessness. There's a lot of pessimism. And to be honest, sometimes I feel hopeless, and sometimes I feel frustrated, and sometimes I feel extremely angry. And that's something key that we need to see how to navigate better. I've been doing environmental social work since I'm 15. I see how many of the people I was working alongside has lost completely, going to sectors where they're not even thinking about this anymore because they lost hope. They lost the anger. They lost this energy, the passion. And we have to find better ways to continue talking about this, trying to find a spark and energy to continue with the fight. And also recognize that it's not easy. It's not easy, and we have many struggles against us and a lot of waves and currents that we need to swim against. So
fully agree.
It's
Thank you
getting
very
to
much.
that. Yes.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. I think we have to keep the interventions brief. Now, there. Okay, Cristina will help me. Okay.
Maybe we can do like 1, 2, 3 to have an overview of everyone who wants to speak.
Okay.
So we can make sure that everyone who wants to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. You are from the communication side. Yeah. It is. So, brief interventions, and we can, Cristina, help me please, because I am a bit missed in the conversation. Ifa, please.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me and for all the inspiring interventions so far. To introduce myself, I'm from Cambridge as well, but the University of Cambridge. And it's really great to hear not just the incredible voices of youth, but our partners in this, the businesses, the charities. At the University of Cambridge, I work in convening businesses in policy advocacy, so we're really trying to connect business and government. I think there are 2 key points I want to make, and I'll keep it brief. The first is around climate literacy. Everyone in this room has mentioned climate literacy. We are all, hopefully, climate literate. There are so many people who aren't, so many young people. And I think we need to improve climate literacy at all levels, so early years to university. At the University of Cambridge, we have an impressive campaign running from students, and mine is here today, who are trying to introduce climate literacy into degree programs and content specific. So if you're an engineer or a lawyer, these vocational courses, how does climate change affect your work? And how do you then bring that into your workplace? The second point I want to make, which I think has already been raised by my colleague here excellently, is that we are bringing ideas and innovation. So in fact, I'm sure some of you have seen the statistic from UK report KPMG that found that 1/3 of young people, i.e. 18 to 24, rejected a job offer because they found that the business had poor ESG commitments. I think that's a big call for business, and I know Iberdrola is leading on this, but other businesses don't have such strong ESG commitments. And if you want to gain talent in your organization and retain that talent, you need to not only make ESG commitments, but deliver on them.
Thank you. So, next one. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Reem from Sudan. I'm climate activist. So I have a quick question about what's kind of we'll talk about the encouraging an entrepreneurship. So what kind of support or opportunity to support young people in developing their own business when that they are living in the countries that are facing instability, political conflict? Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have raised a very important topic.
There.
We will, okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for all the comments full of hope and ambition. But at the same time, as we speak now, we are off track. We're not on track. Today, we're not on track. And until 2030, we have less than 7 years. So we're not speaking about the future. We are speaking about the near future. So we need actions that are well-structured with specific results. We're not speaking only about awareness for school students, because I think today, based on what have been done during the last 3-5 years, let's say, they are more knowledgeable than people who are on the decision-making tables, I think. So we're not in a position to only speak about awareness. We are in a position to make a green, not only a skill. Green is a result that should be part of everyone's job, whether in a bank, whether in any organization. And speaking about that, we are today off track. That means leadership, they failed to make any change. We're not making any progress. So maybe the only hope that we have today is to, as we say, that leadership can be on all levels, even climate leadership can be on all levels. So I think capacity building is a responsibility today, and youth does not have even only the right to receive capacity building. They also share the responsibility, because they should do something within their jobs. They should deliver results as leadership on top tables. Decision makers, they're not doing anything, as we can see from all the disclosed numbers, but we don't have time. Every year really counts to 2030.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Now
so
the guy
much.
who is nearby.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for a really interesting discussion so far. My name's Aman. I'm a student from India, currently studying at the University of Cambridge, where I run the Cambridge Climate Society. Aoife's very kindly mentioned our education program, so I'm not going to go into more detail on that. But another thing that we run is on the career side, so one of the things we do is a careers mentorship program, where we kind of try to connect people with professionals, but we're really trying to grow our careers options beyond that. So I mean, one thing that I think I've really been thinking about a lot is when we talk about like capacity building, how do we link that capacity building to what specific skills are required in the job market? And it's like, so for us externally, even at a place like Cambridge, it's very easy to see, let's say, as youth, for example, who are still studying, it's very easy to see the jobs in, for example, research or policy or science. But then if we want to look at, so for example, like every company today needs people working on sustainability. You need people from the inside driving that change to make sure every company is able to eliminate its emissions so that we're able to achieve that net zero. So I think what I'm really interested, what I'm very curious about and would love to kind of have a conversation about is just what are the skills that are required for people to enter those sustainability roles within whatever industry that might be.
Okay, thank you very much. We are gathering quite a lot of ideas. Now we have...
Thank you so much. I'm Vera from Kenya. A co-founder at Sunways Technologies. Basically, I'm in the wash sector, and we developed a toilet. And I would just put across my contribution on the intervention based on our experience at our company. Like, I would suggest a more specific approach when addressing how to build capacity amongst youth. Like most of us, like in our company, I realized we had the technology, we had the innovation, but we lacked the soft skill. And we really appreciate the Generation Unlimited. They walk us through, and right now I can attest that we are not where we were. So I think that one can also be translated elsewhere, being specific in terms of the interventions you're giving to different youths. And I would encourage my fellow youths, you've got the solution. We always say whenever there's a challenge, like us, we had experienced challenges of sanitation. How can we address it? We created an opportunity by solving the challenge. Solutions are at the grassroots level, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adisa. I'm from Tajikistan, Central Asian region. And overall, what I heard so far is very insightful, but one thing that I would highlight that wasn't mentioned so far is about education in native languages, which is really behind for many nations, and we need specialists, and we need action on a grassroots level. And another thing is about youth being very often volunteers and doing unpaid full-time job. I attended COI, and let me say that so many times I heard that this event was possible by young volunteers thanks to their job, thanks for their hard work. But let me say that it's not something to be proud of. So many of them are outstanding young professionals that were doing a full-time job and were not paid. So it's really about providing a decent job opportunities. It's about like job availability that many of us do not have, and very often what I observed as youth became a synonym to a volunteering. We should really move from this perspective and consider that, first of all, we're young professionals.
Thank you very much. You were looking at Ilo. No, okay. No, okay, okay, okay. Oh. So, okay, Nerea, and after that, you.
It's me?
Okay, you first, and Nerea. Nerea is friend. We
It's
have
okay. Hello, my name is Larissa. I'm from Brazil. I'm from Parque Peruche. We're kind of live near. And I am a young innovator. I have the support of GenU. I develop what I think is a very special skill, that is make a simple technology that can be affordable and replicable. Like, we need scale. We don't have to make innovation, like high-tech innovation, that we can like scale in our country, like Brazil is very big. But we could do it. We could do it with the support of GenU. We made, it was a project of, to capture water from the rain for the people of favelas and slums. But we can't we can't do it further without funds, without the private sector supporting us. And like, I have a dream for my project. I want to make it more replicable. I want to have the support of university to make measurements about the impact of the project. And I think it's a very, we need a lot of actors in a project that, that was developed by young people. And we need to make all these contacts for a project to go. And it can't be volunteer, like my colleague said. Like, it's very difficult for a young people like me that have to work to sustain my project, because I can't get money for them now. So we need to make an environment to make it possible.
Thank you very much. Now, Nerea, at least, Spain.
Now, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nerea Sanchez from the Spanish Confederation of Business and Industries. That is the main business association in Spain, and I work as an environment and climate change advisor. So I can give you the perspective or the vision of the business. From my position, I can see the needs that the business have regarding new green skills, and also the difficulties that they face in finding these qualifications, especially SMEs. In the Spanish Confederation, we have some projects like a job, like a map identifying which skills need the specific business and distribute in the territory of Spain. But for me, I think that green skills are a must-have for young people, so to dive into today's jobs market. So therefore, it is key, like you said, to promote the training of these skills in schools, universities, and other study centers. For me, I think there are 4 main green skills for young people. First of all, the knowledge about environmental issues, as you comment, like climate change, biodiversity, pollution. There are challenges for the future and also for the present, so we need to know about this. Secondly, technology and digitalization. No? I think that is essential for young people because of, for example, the social media networks. No? So we have this. And I think that knowledge about data analysis, programming, and artificial intelligence are fundamental for the today's jobs market and also for the necessity of the business. Also, don't forget about teamwork and communication skills, no? Because of the social network, social media networks. So the ability to communicate ideas correctly, work with others and engage with other stakeholders, relevant stakeholders for business is essential for to implement sustainable solution in business. And finally, I think the adaptability for young people is crucial because industries, the job market is changing so, very quickly. So we need to adapt and to being willing to learn and to know about new technologies and new necessities, I think is crucial for,
Thank you,
for business
Nerea.
and for
Very
young people.
streamlined ideas. So you
Yes.
first.
Hello, my name is Anun. I run a nonprofit in Mongolia in the space of air pollution, climate, and health. I joined a little late, so I hope I'm not repeating what was already said, but I think to build capacities and skills for youth to especially become leaders in different sectors is to also develop the capacities and skills of other people working at the company or in the government, or whatever sector it is, to accept youth as leaders with skills that are capable enough to lead an organization or a team. Right now, I'm here in my capacity as a youth negotiator for my country, and I have networks with other youth negotiators, and we're in the decision-making space, but sometimes it's difficult to convince both people of our delegation and other delegations to, that we have the skills and we're capable enough to be in these spaces. So I think also skill training or, mainstreaming and changing company cultures and work environments to accept young people in those roles.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Yes, it works. Hi, everybody. I am Adisa, and I'm a researcher at the Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change. So the first very brief point I would like to make is that we've been talking a lot about the private sector, but I also wanted to stress the very important role that research plays as an enabler, but also as a driver of climate action. But then I wanted to go back to a point raised by Amanda that was talking about the need for the youth to have the tools to act locally, but also Mohammed, who was calling for partnerships, for implementation. So I thought it could be maybe worth sharing an initiative by my government, I'm Italian, which is called Youth for Climate, and it's co-led by Italy and UNEP. And it's really about supporting the implementation of innovative actions which are youth-led. And so we have this contest of innovative ideas taking place. And then last year we funded 50 projects. And so this is one component to drive action. And the second component is the learning one. And it's not just about mentoring programs, which are very important, but as many of you already mentioned, young people have a lot of skills and capacity already, so it's also about learning from each other. So there's this platform where young people from around the world can share their tools, their experience, and learn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Quite interesting source, no? Set of sources to promote this. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adriana Valenzuela. I work as the lead for the Youth Leadership and Education Program at the Global Center on Adaptation. And I just wanted to build on what you said, that the need to prepare for uncertainties, and not only young people, but everyone. And this year, the Global Center on Adaptation organized, in partnership with youth organizations, 6 regional youth adaptation forums and 6 African youth consultations. And something that we identified is that one of the conclusions is that not many people understand what is adaptation. And I think that it is one of the key problems. I think historically, the discussion has been about mitigation, and we need to move forward, as the IPCC said, from either mitigation of adaptation, first of all, to an integrated approach that brings both together. And for that, I think that what is needed is to have this system thinking. The second point If you don't understand what is this topic, you cannot be part of the solution. You cannot help to solve. Then we need also to transform the education system, because the education system is not prepared to build, to work on their uncertainties. And the third one is how we can do it. I think that first we need to change the narrative. Just don't see young people as beneficiaries, but change makers. Second, we need transformational education. And third, intergenerational partnerships.
Thank you very much. The last term, but very important, of course. This has been a very energizing conversation. I must admit that I am really, not surprised, but energized by all the ideas that we are gathering. Christina is making notes very quickly about everything. We will share with you at the end some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Felista. I'm from Kenya, and I'm surprised to see Sunwise Technologies, because we were with her in the JNU last year competing for the same prize. And yes, and I'm really glad to finally meet you, because we were seeing each other with the video. Okay, what I'd love to say, when we look at, let me give a specific example to my country. We are a lot of youths with limited opportunities. When opportunities like JNU come, we'll apply like 3,000 innovators will apply, but only 2 or 3 will get the financing. Okay, that means we have a lot of solutions, but the financing is little. So when we're talking about, what I was thinking is, when we're talking about the private sector, let's not just look about the financing. So for people like us, when we didn't get the finance, we at least we found in the private sector someone we could work with in the hubs with them. So they lend us our space and let us use the equipment, because we couldn't purchase, we didn't have the capacity to purchase equipment. And when you look at the greener economies, the machinery, the infrastructure is very expensive. And for an innovator who doesn't have maybe the capacity to maybe buy the equipment, it is really hard. It is really challenging for that innovator. So if in the private sectors, they can also support us in kind, maybe allow us maybe to use the equipment, and at the time just interact with their spaces while we wait for other awards where we can apply and at least win. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, of course.
I ask a very important question. Sorry, if you don't mind. I mean, especially Sudan, and what is going on in Sudan now is very, very close to our hearts, especially with our UN colleagues. And you are absolutely right. It is not right if all the things we are discussing here at COP on green skills go to the safe countries, go to the countries that, well, private, public, multilateral feel comfortable and safe, okay? Half of the 1 billion children and young people more at risk live in conflict countries. And then that requires a different type of investment, that requires a specific focus, tagging of a specific investment. And yes, this is a call to the private sector. We cannot live with 70% of unemployment levels in those countries, where we know that those countries hopefully will be able to be receiving climate funding for mitigation and adaptation. So I don't have the solution for you, especially when you are in Sudan. But you are right that we cannot treat you as another in our Pulse context. No, sorry, we cannot treat Sudan the same way we treat Canadians or we treat Germany. We have to make a specific effort to be investing and supporting those young people who really want to be jumping into the green economy on conflict situations. So I just wanted to make sure that you were responded.
Thank you very much, Paloma. You have. Now the event closes. I thank you very much to all of you for participating, for sharing your ideas, your inputs, your experience. The event closes, but the conversation remains open. Thank you very much. Yes, of course, we can make a picture there.
And please, if you